So welcome back to another Thursday on the Pagan Perspective. I'm your Thursday host, Yeka. And this week we've been answering a question from our very own Danny, who asks, what has the biggest shift or shifts in our practice been? So I've been thinking all week about this question and how to answer it because as someone who was raised pagan, I never had an aha, like, conversion kind of moment. But my practice has been formed throughout my whole life and my growth as an individual during that time. So I was thinking about how a lot of the big changes for me have all corresponded with sort of the normal rites of passage that we all go through, whether our particular cultures or religions are really recognizing them or not. The leaving childhood and moving into teenagehood, and the leaving teenagehood and moving into young adulthood, and from young adulthood into not young adulthood, going out on one's own and starting a family and all of those things. So I tried to think about particular moments or time periods where there were big changes. And of course, those things that I just mentioned, those sorts of rites of passage, were there were a couple time periods when I was younger. The year that I was 99, so I was 9 and 10 years old that year. That was the year that my mother was dying, and so our parents really wanted to give us some extra tools to be able to cope with that. And so I come from a big family, but I've got my brother and I are the youngest, and that was the first time that I guess there was real strong influence from outside the family. So they took us to some classes to learn meditation, so Tia meditation, and then they also took us to a shaman to learn journeying. So I guess I would have been 9 or 10 years old when that was happening. And that was sort of the first outside of my family influence that I had. And those are tools that I still use to the day. But they weren't outside of the sort of framework that I already was viewing and seeing the world. They were just additional tools, and just sort of, it felt like part of growing up to be learning these tools to use. And then, in a lot of ways, that's the time period that I think of myself as transitioning out of childhood, because, after that period, life changed a lot, and I got a lot of more responsibilities that were more older, teenage kind of responsibilities, or young adult even, for that time period. And the next big one, I think, would be, moving out, and which I did when I was 16, and choosing how I was going to run my own household, which of course at the time was only one person, but looking at what really mattered to me and what I wanted to focus on and not focus on. And now I'm in a kind of really exciting place with my partner and I, and we're starting a family and thinking, growing it and saying, okay, so over these next few years, how are we going to raise our little third generation of pagans? And choosing how, what's important to us and what do we want to consciously bring to them in their lives. And then I'm really excited to see what just happens naturally, because we choose and can work towards what we want and what we want to value, but to a certain extent, a lot of that just sort of happens and unfolds. So that's really exciting for me to see, and hopefully you guys will be getting to share with that a little bit. So shifts, yeah, I think that I don't have any, other than what I just shared, really strong shifts that didn't happen slowly over a period of time. I think I didn't have really any fundamental changes in terms of what I believe or think. I think they just sort of grew up and changed with me very subtly as I have grown up and moved through different stages in my life. So yeah, that's the question this week, and thank you, Danny, for asking that. That's an awesome one. So I look forward to watching everybody else's and hearing from anyone below in the comments if they'd like to share anything. Okay, take care.